So just so everybody understands my night, I was with a friend and it's a blowout. I come back to the hotel. I'm on the phone with Cowherd. We're chopping it up. I go, hey, dude, I think I got to go. I think I'm about to watch something historic here. And unfortunately for Sixers fans, and fortunately for this Atlanta team that is now up 3-2 in this series, we just saw one of the epic meltdowns in recent playoff history. And unfortunately, it's the second time it's happened in this Sixers-Atlanta series. So let's go over just some of the stuff flying around last night, because you know me, like personally, I'm not emotionally, like I'm not going to start screaming and, hey, this team sucks, fire everybody, all that kind of stuff. It's just not who your guy is. But let's run through what happened, meaning at the end of Game 5, and then what we kind of have now contextually for Game 4 and Game 5, because this is a joke. I mean, Philly, good luck to you this morning in trying to navigate through this. All right, so Ben Simmons has 0 field goal attempts in the last 2 fourth quarters. All right? 0. They blew a 26-point lead in Game 5. It's the third largest blown lead in the playoffs in the last 25 years. Ben Simmons has missed 45 free throws in the playoffs. Other teams have only missed like 20. Ben Simmons is the first player in the regular season or playoffs with 10-plus misses at the free throw line this season. All right? Only Joel Embiid and Seth Curry made a field goal in the second half. At one point, the second half scoring split was 36 points for Embiid and Seth Curry, 6 points for everyone else. For them to be the only duo to make a field goal in the second half, it's the only duo in the last 15 postseasons for this to happen. Dwight Howard has a higher usage rate in this series at 18.5 than Ben Simmons at 14.4. Ben Simmons, if we look at the worst single free throw percentage in a playoff, minimum 50 attempts, Ben Wallace in 2006, this number, cover the kids' ears, 27.3% at the free throw line in 06. The second worst, you guessed it, Ben Simmons at just under 33%. Philadelphia was up 25 with 3:15 left in the third quarter. They gave up 51 points in the remaining 15 plus. Philly is the only team to blow 18-point leads in back-to-back games in the playoffs in the last 25 seasons. And of course, everyone knows my favorite number ever, win probability. The win probability in Game 4, 95.5%. Win probability in Game 5, 99.7%. Ben Simmons also came out of this game for about a minute in the fourth quarter because they went to the hacking Ben Simmons approach. And we're going to go through every fourth quarter offensive possession for Philadelphia. And really, I could have done it for defensive possessions because it was just as bad. But I'm going to do it for the offensive side of this because I think that's still the fundamental problem with the Ben Simmons approach to it. Not saying Ben Simmons is terrible, but like whenever, it's just one of those deals where you go, hey, is it okay if I say there's some doubts here? Is it okay to say that when you see it in real time? And the problem for Ben Simmons is that he's talked about as if he's a superstar in this league, and he's not. He's really good at some things. I remember that one, what was it? The Wizards broadcaster was like, hey, I just think Ben Simmons is really overrated. And everybody crushed him. Ben Simmons called him short, which, but look, we respect and recognize all shapes and sizes on this podcast now. But I think it's okay to watch these games and watch what happens in the fourth quarter and go, yeah, maybe these are some of the anti-Ben Simmons arguments, and maybe they're not terrible. And I appreciate all the stuff that he's doing. But if he's out there trying to stop Trae Young, and Trae Young has 39 points, then what's going on? I'm going to go over all those fourth quarter possessions on offense in a very short amount of time. But there's also something else that goes beyond all these historical numbers that we saw from the Sixers. There's a tightness to this team, and it's hard to get through it until you have success. And it's funny because it plays in perfectly what the Clippers have done now and what Paul George did in Game 5 to go up 3-2 in Utah, Clippers going small, small, small. When you think they can't go smaller, they go small again. And granted, it's not like it's a completely new rotation of guys. They're just going to go small. They're going to make Gobert have to chase people around. They're going to limit his effectiveness because he's moving around. And then on offense, he can't make anyone pay. And now Paul George, the rediscovery of Paul George storyline is happening. People asked him, hey, is this what playoff P is? Now, if you really watch the game, he had 30 and 13 points and rebounds going into the fourth quarter. And for about 7 minutes in the fourth quarter, bobbling the basketball, making some weird passes. Now it's really on you. But they win. He has a couple buckets late. And so all of the kind of stuff that scared you a little bit, because it really happened. There were moments where you're like, oh, I don't know if scare's the right word, but like something's off here. They're kind of getting clogged up. It's all on him. Now it's really all on you. The Sixers are like the worst playoff Paul George, but there's 5 of them. And that's not entirely fair, but I'd ask any Sixers fan that watched this game, watched Game 4, watched some of those other losses where you're like, do you guys actually not believe in yourselves? Because this is where, after only 6 minutes, I've taken too long to getting to Trae Young and giving him all the credit. Because Trae Young is the toughest player on the court in this series. Trae Young's the toughest player. That guy, and for all my criticisms, which I think were fair at the time, that guy has been told he's too small. He's been told all these. It's kind of like that Isaiah Thomas deal where I didn't always love all the Isaiah Thomas stuff on offense, but it's hard to tell him like, hey, be different. Have a different approach. When he's like, all you guys have done has been wrong about me as a player out of high school, out of college, Sacramento, Phoenix, and now in Boston. And with Trae Young, it's not as long. It's not as much doubt. I mean, we're talking about a guy that was a top 5 pick. But with Trae, there's just no doubt with him because everyone else has done the doubting for him. So why would he doubt himself? And I don't know if this will change because here's a Philadelphia team. Look at these leads. Game 2 up 21. Game 3 up 22. Game 4 up 18. Game 5 up 26 points. It was 62 to 36. Yeah, 62-36 at one point. And I'm like, all right, I'll be able to prep for the next game. Like, I don't have to watch this one. And then, an hour in real time later, I'm telling Cowherd, hey, I got to get off the phone. Like, this is happening. That's what I take from this. Because Atlanta's up 3-2 on a team that I think is better than them. I do. And maybe that's the wake-up call Philadelphia needed. But when you watch a few of those last possessions, and I'm not talking about an offensive concept here. I'm talking about some of those final possessions. We even saw it in Game 4 where Tobias Harris pulls up right side, probably could have taken that shot, throws it down to Embiid, Embiid misses the layup, then it's out of bounds off of Ben Simmons. All right, game over, body language destroyed. There's a couple possessions I'll get to a little bit later in the podcast where you're like, okay, you guys are freaking out a little bit. You're freaking out because all you're doing, you're not thinking about the possession or what you're supposed to be doing. You're thinking, I can't believe we just blew another lead this big. So credit to the Hawks. We'll get into that Sixers fourth quarter coming up.